ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to CIBC Presents Entrepreneurship 101. A couple of administrative things. To remind you, this Friday the 13th is the deadline for your 3-pagers for the Upstart competition. I may be difficult to get a hold of on Friday, so I would strongly advise you, if you are going to panic tomorrow, please, when I will be reachable and I can help you. Don't expect to send me a panic email or phone message on Friday. I may not be able to get back to you, so panic early. And I've had inquiries, single-spaced is fine. I guess at least 10-point font. I really don't want something I can't read. But it's up to you. You want to double space it, that's fine, but 3-page limit. Second thing, important notice, next week we will be upstairs in room CR3, okay? If you've got any friends who aren't here tonight that you know are coming, please tell them. There will be folks trying to steer you off from the escalator so that you go up there. There is another event going down here, and just so you know, we don't bump you guys lightly. It's the Kyoto Prize celebration that is being held here. Kyoto Prize is a major award in science and technology, and this year 2 Canadians are amongst the winners, and they need this full auditorium for the celebration event, and so we reluctantly said, okay, I guess that's a pretty good cause. So we will be upstairs in CR3. And the last message, we've had a number of you contact us. I gather there are problems with the video. Thank you for letting us know. I have to tell you those dreaded words, IT is working on it. But they are. If you have problems, please send an email to the E101 address with a copy of the error message. This is an intermittent problem. It's not affecting everybody, and those are a nightmare to solve. So to those of you who have actually sent in documentation of what the problem was, that actually really helps us get to the problem. We are committed to getting those videos out there. And so if you have a problem, send us as much information as you can. We will have a patch at least, hopefully by this Friday. Even if we have to do it through YouTube or something, we will make them available while we're getting a more robust solution. Okay, so to tonight's lecture, and I am delighted to introduce a colleague of mine here at Mars, a fellow Martian, Dr. Veronika Litinski, who is the director of our venture group. And those of you in life sciences may well have met Veronika at other events. Veronika comes to us with a very interesting background. I think the most important thing is that she is a chemist by training. And you know that ranks very highly in my books. She started her career as a research scientist at Lawrence Livermore Lab, focusing on mechanisms of DNA repair. She started her slide from the lofty pinnacle of chemistry early on. She actually founded a medical journal, and I haven't discussed that with her. She then earned an MBA in finance at University of San Francisco, and then she really continued the decline and got into corporate finance. And she has, suffice it to say, an extensive experience in financing and working with companies in a wide range of disciplines, telecom, life sciences, wireless, and has had firsthand experience in docking with early stage companies in those various fields. She has been in a pharma company and looked at investment opportunities for a Canadian fund, again, across a variety of disciplines. The other interesting thing in her background is that amongst amidst doing all of this, Veronika has had a continuing interest in brain function, and she spent 6 months in a monastery in Nepal meditating, and I think she thinks that helps her in her job at Mars. I'm not sure what that says about her clients at Mars. But there's a smattering of Veronika's background. I think it's a unique background that positions her well to talk about today's title, which is Essential Communication Tools for Entrepreneurs. You got a great idea. You got to get that message out to the rest of the world. How do you do that? And Veronika's going to tell us.
Thank you, Tony. So we're going to discuss today what's included in your essential communication toolkit and how to use it effectively. If you ever sat through any kind of communication lecture, they usually say start with a joke. And I had to enlist help of my good friend, Ellie G, because I'm really not so good with jokes, and here we go.
I've got some business idea that I just want to tell you about, and I'll be a fool if...
Very quickly.
What is the most popular thing in the world?
Music.
No.
Tell me.
Ice cream.
Okay.
Everyone has it. And what is the problem with ice cream?
I have no idea.
It drips.
Okay.
So my idea is what?
To make a drip-proof ice cream.
No. Oh, that's a fucking brilliant idea, this. All right, whatever. You ain't going to come out with that, though.
No, I promise you I won't.
Well, my idea is to come out with just like these ice cream gloves that make the ice cream not go on your hands and make it all well sticky. And also keep your hands warm when you is eating the ice cream.
Okay.
Is you in or is you in?
Okay, well, it sounds like a good idea.
Well, LG is probably, his position not dissimilar to many of us, because what we're trying to do is to convince a skeptical audience of people who invested in a lot of other things and make them believe in our vision, see the future the way we want to see it, and also trust us that you are the person to execute the plan and you really understand how the business will work. And therefore, we call this essential communication tools because very often when you're starting the business, that's kind of all you have. Maybe you have a prototype software, but it doesn't quite do what it's really intended to do. Maybe you have some patents, but they don't really work in humans yet, the molecules that you're going to design. So the communication tools, they really describe what your business is and how you're going to move forward. The key point here is that you need to explain what you want to accomplish and also illustrate it with facts and figures. And when it comes down to the really successful businesses are successful because they have something called differentiated, sustainable value proposition. They're doing something unique. Other people don't do it. They can do it for a while, so it's kind of a reproducible product, and they can continue selling it over and over again, and somebody wants to buy it. So all your communication tools ultimately have to convince the audience that you're speaking to that you will be building this highly differentiated, valuable business. The important distinction between selling and planning, and I wanted to sort of lay it out from the beginning. So when you are working with other people and really develop the right language to explain who are your customers, why would they want to buy the product, and how you're going to execute, how you hire the team, who should be your advisors, how the competitive landscape look like. You also build your own confidence in your business Because after all, you asked yourself all possible questions, you came up with the answers, and you also able to refine the language you use in describing the business. And you kind of crystallized for yourself what that business model would do, how it works. Think of it as sort of learning something by reading, and then at some point maybe you have to teach somebody the same subject. When you're faced with the need to teach somebody something complicated, you really see very clearly what's difficult and what language you need to use in order to convey your points. So those are your communication tools, and they're good for selling. The business plan is quite different, because your business plan is really your blueprint to how you're going to execute. And it's a document that is largely internal. Yes, you will share it with the external audiences when they're ready, when they're really looking in detail at your business plan. And business plan is a document that you will be refining pretty much all the time. Every time you learn something new about the customers, about the competition, you will have to alter and change maybe your financial models, your projections, and so on. The other important piece about those communication tools is that they're built for all kinds of different audiences. Because remember again that you have to bring a lot of people on board with you. And you're kind of building a team of supporters who are your business partners, potentially employees, your investors. And all those people come with different backgrounds. Financial investors understand numbers better. Strategic investors are the people who understand the space where you want to function. They probably know a lot more about the market segment than you know right now when you're starting. And you're basically asking all those people to make a leap of faith with you, jump on board, and join you in building that enterprise. Furthermore, as far as financial investors, you're asking them to invest their time and money. They have other options that where they can spend time and money. And the communication tools allow you to build the trust. Because ultimately, you're looking at all those people, and you need to build long-term relationship with them. The communication tools allow you to convince them that your vision is solid, your business makes sense, and you are ultimately the person who will be able to steer that ship, or you understand that you'll need to bring other people and what those other people will do for your business. And kind of brings up an interesting question, since you're kind of building your team and building your kind of supporters around the business. Is it really a good idea to hire an outside consultant to write all those communication tools for you? I just leave it for you to ponder. But as we're going through the process of describing what these tools do and how to use them, ponder that question. So we're going to talk a little bit about basic principles of business communications. And this applies to any kind of business communications, but I think it's especially important when you are in the startup situation, and as we established earlier, you're not in business yet. You don't have 3 years of revenues to show for your successors. You don't have customers that can answer the phone and say, yes, I love the product, I buy it every day, and I want to buy it for the rest of my life. So again, you're selling the vision, the future, and the opportunity. First of all, you want to be completely factual, precisely because you're selling the vision. And if you're selling to financial investors, they're the people who invented the saying, sell the sizzle, buy the steak. So you can't really beat them at their own game. And especially if you're coming from a technical background, it's better to show them that you have your facts very solid, in a very solid way. you wanted your business planning and to be dynamic. One big difference between science and business is that in science you have the ability to control your environment, and you kind of want to have one variable and then you kind of see how it behaves. In business, it's just the opposite. You have no control over your environment, and it changes all the time. Therefore, all you can do is to adjust your plans and be cognizant of all the changes in your environment. So you're never really ever done with your business plan because competition does something different. There's some changes in maybe a regulatory landscape. The world moves, and your business plan have to move as well. The clear, precise structure of your story is also very, very important. Because you will be probably creating a business that's sort of on the cutting edge. So again, you're describing things that don't exist yet. And so often people will have no reference point as well, because you are launching a brand new product. So your story has to be convincing and logical and compelling. Because ultimately, you are selling the story. You're selling your thinking. Why do you believe that this business will be successful? And people have different ways of perceiving information. I think most people really perceive better visual information. So pictures rather than words always work much better. The consistency of this story is really paramount in your business plan. Again, because you will be pitching to people with very different backgrounds. People who do sales, they understand customer pain points. People who, if you're talking to your strategic partner, they have particular vision of how the industry will be evolving over time. And they see you as potentially an essential component of their future business. When you're speaking to financial investors, they understand the language of financial returns, and they are trained to ask questions. It's not because they're nasty, but because they really, really want to understand. They want to poke holes in your story, and they want to see that you, as a person who is starting up that business, really thought about all the uncertainties and all the questions, and you understand all the risks also. There was something. Stop. The clicker doesn't work. Sorry. It's frozen. Here you go. Again, it's a basic communication idea, the clarity of your message. If you know something really, really well, you usually can explain it to a layperson. And it's really sort of stressful for people who maybe met you for the first time, and they're going to spend half an hour with you. If you bombard them with a lot of information that they have hard time digesting. So the facts that you provide have to support the ideas that you put into your presentation, into your business pack. In other words, if you have 20 different data points supporting a particular premise of your business, choose one. One that is most compelling and kind of a figure or number that really supports your idea very strongly. And finally, as you see from my background, people who are involved in finance are often sort of generalists. And it's rare that they really understand in depth your specific area. They usually have access to networks of people who would know very, very well the business that you're going into. But they need to understand the basics. Again, how will you create value? And who cares about the product that you're about to launch into this new company? I wanted to bring up this kind of quick myths and truths because there are lots and lots of different books and manuals, and if you go on the internet, you find lots of instructions about how to write a business plan. We have our own at Mars, and I'd be happy to refer you to our guide for entrepreneurs. The important thing is that you need these communication tools because you want to build relationships with investors, with partners, and with strategic partners. So think of any kind of relationship you had with your employer or with your girlfriend or boyfriend. You kind of start slowly, and your relationship evolves and becomes deeper, and you can do more things as you get to know each other. So the communication tools also are meant to build the trust that you need in order to start doing things together. In this case, support and build your business. And that's why it's so important to pace your communication. You want to come across as completely professional. And it's really important to choose correctly what tools to use with what audience. Simplistically, if your girlfriend likes theater, you don't take her to a hockey game. If you're pitching to an investor who is really, really interested in, who is looking at a variety of investment options, and only very rarely this investor invests in kind of venture-style businesses, you don't want to burden them with a long explanation of how your technology works, because this person only cares about generating financial returns from his or her kind of portfolio of investments. So you want to speak to them in the language of financial returns. And once again, I can't help to emphasize the fact that when you work on creating those communication tools, it really helps you as an entrepreneur to understand and crystallize the value and kind of the machinery of your business models. Remember the question I asked earlier, would you like to hire a consultant? My subjective view is that you need to do a lot of groundwork yourself first. It helps to have somebody professional as a writer or communication expert to help you polish it. But the essence of your business, they're the expression of your vision for the future, the expression of your personality, and keeping in mind the idea of this relationship building, it has to be your document. If you hire me to write your business plans, maybe I will do a great job, but ultimately the investor will be investing in you and your company. So having me kind of really writing it doesn't help very much ultimately the success of your business. The memorable piece is probably the most important because once again, you are building a relationship with people. And if you think of relationship as a series of gates, and all you want is to progress from sort of nowhere, they don't know who you are and don't really want to spend any time with you, to the point where they enjoy spending 3 hours listening to your stories and your vision, all you want with your communication tools is kind of move it to the next level. And the only way to do it is obviously to engage your audience. Let them invest some time in your business. Don't give them everything at once. Make it a little bit tantalizing. Let them discover. Let them invest their own efforts into validating your idea and your facts. Especially when you're talking to financial investors, they tend to have very extensive networks of friends and colleagues and advisors. And if you tell them that this market grows at 25% a year, it's just another number. But if they heard it from somebody they already respect, that's completely different. So give them an opportunity to arrive to their own conclusions. Leave them a little space. Also, For a lot of people who hear you for the first time and all they have is half an hour to listen to your story, it's really a good idea to develop case studies. It's often, especially if it's a very technical subject and it's some complicated software enterprise thing, bring it down to their own experience. You come to a bakery, you buy a bagel, and you don't have change, and you press a button on your phone and you paid for your bagel. They understand something like that. But if you start describing to them the intricate details of how the whole thing works, they just have no patience to wait to that final point where you actually explain what your business does, who cares, and why it's ultimately valuable, sort of going back to our original message. And final thing about addressing knowledge gaps, again, for people who are not really familiar with your field, which is 99.9%, it's difficult for them to get motivated to read a whole manual about biomarkers in oncology. So if you can take really complicated field and reduce it to a slide that kind of depicts what those things are and how they fit into medicine or human body, kind of a primer of your theme, of your subject, they'd be grateful because they learned something they didn't know before. And humans tend to think in sort of visual images, and that's something they can sort of pass along to somebody without attempting to explain. Because again, when you're pitching to somebody, you're pitching to an individual. Usually this person is part of a bigger team, and once they became kind of advocates of your business, they would need some ammunition to convince their colleagues that this is a good idea also. So it would be difficult for them to explain in their own words your technology, but if they can give a picture to their sort of colleague, it helps them to communicate to their colleagues why they're interested in that business. Knowing your audience is kind of an obvious statement, but I'd like also to emphasize that what you're doing with these communication tools is really selling. And selling is completely emotional. People make decisions to buy something and move to the next stage in your relationship because something resonates, your background, a story, that you somehow establish that bond. So yes, you want to speak to your audience in the language they understand, back to, don't take your theater-loving girlfriend to a hockey game. You need to, but it's also a very, very good idea to listen to their questions very carefully, because they will reveal through those questions what really, really interests them about your business. Maybe they already have an investment in a company that's sort of adjacent to where you want to go. And maybe that would really help them move over that hump. Often, especially with angel investors, they like to invest into companies that they have some kind of personal relationship to. Maybe somebody in their family has the disease. Maybe they have a good friend they play golf with who really knows that space. So spend time getting to know those individuals and try to customize your delivery to the interests of your audience. Clearly, we talk a lot about the financial investors, but I think it's also very important to understand the motivation, the goals, the sort of the way how strategic investors make their decisions. Because if you're pitching to VP of corporate development in a company, first of all, this person has a job. So they don't want to look foolish to their colleagues and their bosses. And that's why you need to give them all the data and all the ammunition, because that would give them confidence that you proposing something really sort of solid and meaningful. Also, a strategic investor is somebody who understands the space very, very well. And they sometimes just want to listen to what you have to say because they're gathering intelligence. And they might let you come and pitch again and again because they want to hear from you. What else do you know, and who did you talk to, and what else is going on? Because they cannot talk to their competition the same way you might be able to talk to them. So you need to understand what is their motivation. Does this company even have the money to invest? Are they going to be in this business for years to come, because it probably will take a couple of years to do anything? And most importantly, how do they make decisions? Because if you're talking to technical team, maybe they're not the people who ultimately make the decision to invest in the business or establish a strategic relationship with a small company. So once you move through the door and kind of have a basic trust established, it's really a good idea to invest into understanding how the organization works. I brought up some examples from some of the companies we worked with. And this is just an example of how we started, what this product and technology does, and how we ended up. What is important here is you see, we used very, very simple words. You don't need to be kind of a software person to understand what this thing does. And the key word here is actionable insights. Because ultimately, I mean, this particular product is for marketers. So back to the idea of you want to do something that somebody wants to buy, actionable insights is something that people want to buy. They don't necessarily want to know everything about blogs or what people say in the world. So this is just an example of how through that process of creating communication tools, you really refine your language. And you learn from your customers, and you put the words in your communication tools that your customers use, not your own words. The idea that you come from a technical background and you kind of want to demonstrate that you know your field, most people you'll be talking to just take it at face value. If you have some kind of technical education, that's where you come from, they sort of trust the fact that you know your field. And they would like to see very quickly how your business idea will translate into something that they care about, whether they care about financial returns, advancing their product portfolio if they're a strategic partner, or if you're talking to potential employees and business partners for you internally, they want to see your vision and how their skills and background and contacts would fit into your business. Again, sort of a basic thing about building a relationship, listen and try to understand what other people want. I brought up a couple more examples. Again, if you're pitching to financial investors, they need to see something that they can analyze. Because they think in terms of return on investment, net present value. They will build a spreadsheet around you. They need to have some numbers they can plug into that spreadsheet. So it's kind of your job to provide those numbers. And you need to provide relevant numbers. So the fact that blogs grow, it's fine. But what's important is that the dollars in market research grow. So you need to tie what you're presenting as numbers to dollars spent in your industry and why your solution will allow somebody to do something better, faster, cheaper, and therefore the world is dying to have it. Another example, even when you give people sort of a 3-5-page document, it's still too long. Make it easy for them to see what is really, really different about your business. Here it's first, fully automated online solutions. And the idea that the software can track sentiment, because this is the sentiment aspect is what the marketers, who are the customers for this particular product, would like to buy. Again, we kind of moved away from how this thing works and where else does it fit into the internet, back to the advantages and value that customers will derive from that product. The strategic point, how and when give what tools, again, it's very, very important. Think dating again. So you met this person for the first time in your life. You don't want to tell them your whole life story on day one. You just want to start with something really interesting, compelling they can relate to, and leave details for later. When they're already bought into your vision, they started seeing the world the way you see it, and they really want to kind of ask you more questions, get more data. So you're kind of leading them through that sales process to their own conclusions. And because you feed them the data and your story is so logical and compelling, hopefully they'll arrive to exactly the same conclusion as you did when you constructed your business plan. And everything about being polished, grammar, layout, this is just a common courtesy. Remember that you're trying to talk to people who see those kind of pitches all the time, and just make it really easy for them. Again, pictures work, but it's maybe you didn't run the spell check, and it's not a crime, but it's a signal. It's a signal that when you are under stress, you're not very thorough. Or it's a signal that maybe you're a big idea person, but you're not really an execution person. So everything you present is a real kind of picture of who you are and how you'll behave in the future.
It is ice cream.
So this is the
Do you
pitch.
want me to eat this?
No.
No, okay.
What's the matter there?
Lay it on me.
The ice cream glove. That's a C, which means that you can't nick it.
All right.
Have you seen one of these things before?
Sure,
Everyone in school learns these things.
sure,
Venn diagrams.
sure.
People who like ice cream. People who has hands.
Sure.
What's this section here? That's our target market, isn't it?
Okay.
We did an intranet search for ice cream. We come back with 6,121 result. We did an intranet search for the gloves. How much results did we get? 325, 0, 113. So you times those together, what does you get? This is just people on the internet looking in. 203 zillion, whatever, 496,400, and then a 1. Check this out. If all those people bought one glove at $19.99,
Right.
just one glove, business would be worth, wait for it,
Anticipation.
that much. That is such a big number, I couldn't fit it that way. That in English, 34.6 million billion dollars.
All right. Well, I think you're fully equipped now to critique his pitch. Now we actually move into the tools. So we talked about why and what. Now let's just go through what the toolkit is. This is an example of an elevator pitch. It says what this thing is, what does it do, and who will use it. And I mean, the thing about those elevator pitches is, most buildings in Silicon Valley where most VCs live, they actually don't have any elevators. So the point is, it's something short that you can use in communications with anybody. The most important thing about it is to make it your own. Because if it sounds plastic, if it sounds like it's long words that somebody wrote for you, people just don't want to spend time listening to those kind of trained messages. So make it yours. Practice on your grandmother. Go to some kind of board of trade networking event. Practice there. And if the people who know nothing about you, science, technology, your field, say, yes, I see what it is, then your elevator pitch actually works. If you have partners, it's really a good idea that you'll have somewhat different kind of, you use your own words. So if somebody is a little more technical, maybe they kind of, it has to be something you're very comfortable explaining. That's the most important thing about the elevator pitch. The executive summary is your kind of key document. And the executive summary is that place where it's on the border between confidential and non-confidential information. Most times when somebody met you at that party and they're a bit intrigued, they would say, send me an executive summary. So you don't want to bother them with, I really want to execute the CDA first. It also means that if you sending this executive summary, you completely lost control. You don't know where else it goes. So it has to be a document that you're very comfortable to send out there in the universe. And you don't want to put a lot of kind of confidential information there. Also, it's very, very important that you don't embellish anything on the executive summary. So if it says that somebody is on your advisory board, better make sure that this person really knows about it. Because, again, this stuff travels, and you'll be in a very awkward situation if you talk to somebody, they're kind of interested in your business, but they don't really think themselves that they're your official sort of members of your advisory board. Also, check your numbers very carefully, because if there's kind of a bit of sloppiness with your facts, it just sends the wrong message. And the most important thing is to keep it current. We discussed earlier that business planning is a very iterative process. You know something about your business today. I'm willing to bet in 3 months, your vision would be somewhat different. And so all your all the facts, all the decisions you made about your business, they have to kind of fit together in that story. What happens sometimes is people have a table with their financial projections, but they kind of learned something about the pricing. So they put pricing, the new pricing in the words, but they forgot to update the table because table was from the Excel file. And it's a favorite sport for financial people to multiply your price by units sold and come to a different number, and they say, okay, this is crap, I don't want to look at it. So just check it for consistency. The white paper, not everybody needs it, but if you're dealing with something complicated and it's a highly sort of technical field, write that white paper. It has to have kind of a right mix of technical language and layman's language. So if you come across too sort of popular science, nobody would believe you actually have a PhD and can explain something in scientific terms. But at the same time, it has to be understandable enough so somebody with a graduate degree in a different field would say, I understand that. Again, it's a document where you don't want to disclose anything that is not protected by patents. And make it available on your website. It's a really, really good tool to bring in strategic partners, because those big multinational companies that own the markets and constantly hunting for new solutions and new technology platforms, they have scouts who look at websites and and they probably will find you if your technical paper uses the words that they use. The PowerPoint, in my mind, is probably the most important document when you're in the selling stage. It's a very powerful way to really crystallize the vision of your business. And again, because humans kind of visual animals, it's a good way to check if your story actually hangs together. Because you sort of see it all sort of on, maybe 15, 20 slides, unlike a business plan or executive summary that may be, 20, 30 pages. So the important thing is that this PowerPoint has to work without your voiceover. Again, you'll be sending it, hopefully as a PDF file, to a lot of people, and they'll be sharing it with their colleagues. So it has to be a document that's completely self-explanatory. Also, it's a good idea to have maybe 2 or 3 versions. So if you're presenting to somewhat more technical audience, you have kind of a set of backup slides that are somewhat more technical. If you're presenting to an angel investor who doesn't really understand your field, but just wants to get excited about high growth opportunity, maybe just 10 slides. So it's also a good idea to use somewhat different versions for different people in the company. If you're more kind of a financial person, you have maybe 4 or 5 slides on your financial assumptions, your pro forma, your revenues. If you're a more technical person, you have extra 4 or 5 slides on your product development roadmap. It's really important also that you can speak to different parts of your PowerPoint. And when you present as a team, you kind of cue, whose turn it is to speak. So if you're presenting 2 or 3 people together, which is always kind of beneficial as an ultimate pitch, because you demonstrated in this PowerPoint presentation that you worked well together as a team. You talk to each other. You kind of share the vision. And it comes across very nicely if you're presenting to the financial investors. And finally, the business plan. Once again, business plan is your blueprint. It's your guide to how you're going to execute. Once you got the money, how you're going to spend it, who you're going to hire, how this business will work for the next 12, 24, 36 months. So it's very difficult to write a business plan when you just have an idea, because you don't know most of the information. And again, business plan is something that's kind of a living, breathing document. It improves with your growing knowledge of your business, of your field. And it's a document that you will write collectively as a team. The most efficient way to actually build your whole communication toolkit, and remember, you need all these tools, is to start with the PowerPoint. And just dump good images and numbers and graphs into this very, very long PowerPoint. And then it's almost like you're creating a film, right? So you have your storyboard. And when you look at it together, you're able to delete slides and create that visually compelling, concise, logical story that only has data that really supports the ideas you want to convey. And once you have that PowerPoint more or less figured out, so your story kind of works, you can start writing executive summary. And so executive summary is kind of the same thing, but now described in words. And the most sort of efficient way of introducing investors to your company is you start with your elevator speech. They get very intrigued. You send them the executive summary. They share it with each other. Maybe they talk to you on the phone. And then what you really, really want to press for in-person meeting. So if it's at all possible, try to present your PowerPoint face-to-face, because that's the best way to kind of tailor your message, listen to their questions, really understand what makes them excited, and only much later, when you already had dinners and you talk to each other quite a bit, you go into business plan, because that's the document that really explains how you're going to execute. There are lots of templates for all those documents. We have our own template. We'd be happy to share it with you. It's the same with any communications. People usually remember 3 things. So just close with your 3 things, whether you speaking or you are presenting in the PowerPoint. So it's a good idea to finish your PowerPoint with the last slide, why your business is differentiated and valuable, and how you will have the sustainable competitive advantage. And this last slide, I just wanted to put as a reminder what makes a good investment opportunity. So there's certain things that are fixable, but you can never fix the market. So the market has to be large and growing, means lots of changes, and there's an opportunity for a new entrant to come in. You want to have something special, sustainable competitive advantage. Whatever you do, it has to generate returns. In other words, if it's a great product, like YouTube, everybody wants to use it, but it remains to be seen how Google will make money with it. Experienced management team is that team that will execute the plan. So maybe you built a beautiful Porsche, and it sits in your garage, but if you don't have a professional driver to drive it, it will stay in your garage. So you need to have a team that knows how to kind of move it. We'll have the slides available. So I also included kind of an outline, what goes into business plan and investor deck, executive summary. And so you can pick up these outlines. They'll be available on our website. This is just simple reminders. First of all, you want to practice a lot, practice with each other, practice with people who you know will not be investing. Let people ask your questions. Practice with us. So we do this a lot at Mars. So people come and pitch to us, and we shoot holes in their business plans. Make sure that you keep very tight version control. So whatever is in your executive summary, the same exact thing is in the PowerPoint, because people you'll be talking to, they'll have a file, the Manila folder with your company name, and they will have all your information there, and somebody will be sort of looking at it together. So if the information is a little bit different, they'll be a little bit worried. And remember that all those communication tools, they're there to help you build, hopefully, a long-term relationship with your investors, with your strategic partners. By themselves, those communication tools have really no value, but they allow you to move from gate to gate and build a team that believes in your vision and will be able to help you execute on your vision.
Okay.
The last thing from him.
Go on, mate. What is it? We'll tell you what it is.
Oh.
It's a hoverboard.
Does not compute.
I don't understand what you mean.
It's a hoverboard. As you've seen Back to the Future.
Yeah.
As you've seen the bit where they jump on the board and it flies around.
Yeah.
It's in the future.
Yeah.
That film must have been about 10 years ago. No one has even thought about making that thing.
Mm-hmm. But it doesn't do that.
It doesn't do it yet. That's where you lot come in. You come up with the science.
We don't do that. This is nothing.
All right. Any questions? Sure.
I want to touch on confidentiality. What, in your opinion, when you introduce an NDA, and just to follow on that, is it the expectation that your investors would supply you with their NDAs, or would you be expected to supply you with?
Well, I think it's a good practice to have your own company NDA because sometimes you need it not necessarily with investors but with other people. Most investors would want to execute their own NDA because they need to keep all their files in order. As far as when to execute an NDA, if people are serious, they would say, you know, let's move on the confidentiality and discuss it really in depth. So it's kind of annoying, actually, when people want to sign that NDA in the very first meeting before you actually know what the business is, because it's entirely possible that, you know, 5 other businesses pitched quite similar idea, and maybe I will ultimately invest in one of them, but maybe not yours. So it's that trust thing. So once people start looking at your data, that's NDA. If there's something, so when you're constructing your PowerPoint, for example, and there are certain key people that you expect will join the company, but they still have a job somewhere else, you don't want to put their names into the PowerPoint. You just describe them in very general terms. And you know, once you have an NDA, you can say who those people are. Keith?
Questions on the use of language, and I'm thinking of, you know, cutting edge and world class and all these things that we hear so much. I think they've lost a lot of their power. What level of hyperbole do you think is appropriate for innovative things?
Well, yeah, I mean, hype does not really work very well. If it's really first, that's a great thing. Say it's first. If it's kind of cutting edge, world class, how do you prove that? So I mean, you don't want to be completely modest because, you know, you want to, it's a selling document ultimately. But you don't want to put too many of those words everywhere. And if you're saying it's first in class, it's better be first in class. And you know, you need to be absolutely sure it's the case. So, you know, personally, I have a bit of allergy towards those kind of hyper words. And most people, you know, their eyes glaze over. They just look at them, okay, they're placeholders. So there's not much value there. And if your document is packed with facts that are relevant to proving your point, if you have those first-in-class cutting edge sparingly, kind of some couple times, they would really shine. But if all you have is cutting edge and, you know, first-in-class and nothing else there, you know, there's nothing there. Sure.
Veronika, I'm Andy Shaw. I'm journalist who writes mainly in trade journals. We've met before. Years back. I'm wondering if any of what you've described here, in your opinion, would be useful for the media.
For the media? Maybe you're the one to judge. I think it's ultimately about communicating to audiences that are not yourself. So you kind of need to deliver the messages that people can relate to. And I expect media knows how to do that. Sure.
Do you recommend the practice of having a core slide deck for your PowerPoint and then having some slides at the end of the presentation that you can use to refer to questions? If you know that you're going to get certain types of questions, you can put them in the back and have them just on hand to click to?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because it's, most times in every PowerPoint, there's maybe one line or sort of one graph, and usually there's like 20 tables behind it or a lot more supporting information. So if somebody really wants to dive in during that first face-to-face meeting, it's nice to have all this available. But it's, so there are two kinds of PowerPoints. There's one that you send out, and again, it's out there in the universe. You have no control what happens to it. Send it as a PDF, and don't include all this backup information because people will copy it. But when you're presenting, it's good to have your backup slides with you because you just don't know where the discussion will take you.
When you go and try to find money for investments, investors get some return.
Right.
Some multiple within a certain time. Can you give us some word of advice on how to handle that in terms of presenting the opportunity and when to maybe an exit strategy and what kind of multiples?
Well, it really depends on your business because multiples differ from different sectors. And so it's difficult to say, what's the right multiple. Pharmaceutical companies, it's 17, 18 times your earnings. Software is something else. Devices, more like 4, 5. It depends on the stage of your business. If your business basically kind of a research shop and you're planning to license your stuff to multinationals, that's kind of one multiple. And maybe your business is really about creating positive cash flow and not so much about selling it. So it also depends who you're pitching to. If it's an angel investor, maybe they like it. If it's a VC, they want to have a 10x return, and they want to know upfront who will buy your business in 5 years. Or at least they want to have a good guess who those companies are going to be. So my view is if you're not a financial person yourself and you haven't ever sold a company, providing this information is a nice reference. But those financial guys who you're pitching to, they will do the math themselves. So you just identify the names. I want to sell it to Medtronic and Genzyme, and here are the comparables. They bought this company for so much, and here's the stage of the company when they bought it. And let those number crunchers in their own shops do the number crunching and get excited about it.
When presenting, do you recommend giving them a printout summary of the slideshow while you're presenting or after or not at all?
What do you mean summary?
Like, well, just a printout copy of the slideshow itself.
It's, I think people, I hate to say it, but it a little bit depends on the age of your audience. And so some people like taking notes, handwritten notes. And so, if they're that kind of people, it helps. I don't think it's necessary. So it sort of comes across, very polished if you have beautiful colored prints and, all bound up and so on. But I don't think it makes a big difference, really.
Assuming you get an opportunity to present in a boardroom, how much time should one
Well, it's a good idea to have nice sort of warm relationship with the administrative office of that organization. Ask them to give you, 5 minutes to prepare to set up, or whatever minutes you need. And the meetings depends, if you're pitching to somebody in New York City, maybe 30 minutes. Toronto, more like 60. But if they're really interested, they will spend 2 hours with you.
But at least you should be prepared at minimum for your presentation to be 30 minutes?
You need to be prepared to think on your feet. So there is no minimum, really. Sometimes they read your executive summary, you bring your slides along, they just really want to talk to you and sort of describe it in words. And sometimes, you have maybe a 30-minute presentation that covers the opportunity, target market, all that stuff. Maybe they know everything about your target market. And they just scan through those slides. For them, it's just a sign that you know what you're talking about. They don't want to spend any time on that. They only want to talk to you about your technology. So you kind of need to be agile. And usually, I don't know, what's this? So 15, 20 minutes, sort of, if you have 12 slides. Be prepared to take this conversation elsewhere if the questions happen to take you somewhere else.
So just on the PowerPoint presentation I'm a little confused if you have to have a valuation. If investors are looking at your business and you've gone through and they like it, you have to present the valuation as you see it, say, I think this business right now is worth $1 million, therefore I'm looking for 30%, so you're in for 300. You have to be at that level at the PowerPoint because for me it's a chicken and egg scenario where you can't really get to that number unless you built a very, very detailed business plan and run a lot of income statements, balance sheets, etc. So when you can defend your valuation to investors who obviously can try to really go low on it.
Right. So
Do you have to have a valuation in the PowerPoint? That's my
I would say, again, it's a question of taste. I would say not necessarily, because the important thing is you need to understand how much money you need to take your business from A to B. And this B has to be really inflection point, something kind of value creating, right? So you know that investors want to make, 10x return. And you know that businesses like this, they get sold for maybe $3 million. So, I mean, that's how your math you start kind of from the back end with your valuation. Evaluation discussion, when people ask you that question, they're really just testing your thinking. And, a good answer is that, you'll be prepared to discuss it when you go sort of deeper into the discussions with them. So you want to have a reasonable valuation that reflects value created in that business so far. But I've been putting some kind of number in the PowerPoint presentation. It sort of it puts a wall, right? It's like in any negotiations, you put a number on the table, you open up all your cards. All right. Thank you very much.